Stiff and even frozen shoulders tend to be very common, especially in women of the peri and menopausal ages. And there's a lot of reasons to that, and we will continue to discuss that. But also, we want to know, what are we going to do about it when we start to feel that stickiness in the shoulder? My name is Tracy Hill, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I am part of Journey Strong Physical Therapy and Health Success Coaching, where we help you move, feel, and live your best. And one thing with the shoulder is people will start to get this stickiness of that very end range. And they start maybe to feel, maybe you felt that pinch before of, oh, I can get about here, but then I start to get to the pinch. Okay, there's a couple things going on. One, so many of us sit with a forward position at a computer, at a desk a lot during the day. And so much of your day is just here, kind of rounded, kind of slumped. That's no fault of you. That is just how you got to live. And what happens is that your world becomes right here. Your computer's here, your mouse is here, your phone's here, and everything is right here in this bubble. And then what happens is we lose the ability to get out of our world, to reach, to stretch, to lengthen. And so what happens of this mid-thoracic rib cage region, this shoulder blade scapula behind here, everything gets glued down. And when all of this is glued down, that means this shoulder doesn't glide. Okay, we've got the shoulder itself in the little ball and socket, and its job is to glide and move freely. Well, if the other parts of the party are not joining all of its friends, what will happen is that this shoulder then will start jamming and lifting and pinching. And that is that pinch that you're feeling. And so one thing that's really important is that shoulder blade. Sometimes I get clients who come into me and they're like, oh, I have that shoulder blade pain, that spot. Oh, if I could only reach that spot, and if I could stretch that out, I feel that right in the middle of the back and that shoulder blade. And it's really hard to get. And that is a key component for you to move this shoulder well. That shoulder blade will sit there, and its job is to glide and rotate as you reach that arm up overhead. But again, because we sit here, it gets glued down, this gets bogged up, and then you start to get that banging and jamming and pinching. And so what do we do? Because you don't want to just force into the shoulder and cause it more distress. You don't want to hurt. And so how can we get things gliding? And so that's what I want to help you with today is, hey, let's get that moving. And so we're going to start here on the floor with a real simple stretch. Now, you go where you feel comfortable in sitting in this position, but what I want you to do is take one hand and you're going to grab your knee across your body. Now, what you're going to do with this knee is we're going to push it down to the ground, and then I'm going to think about pulling, kind of leaning back. So they're pushing and pulling against each other. And so I'm pushing down and I'm leaning back. And what you'll start to feel is that sticky shoulder blade region. And now it can be tricky to find, okay? So what I want you to do is pull it back, and then you might need to play around with it. You might need to give it a little shimmy, a little shift, a little twist in and out of it. You might feel it more if you turn your head down. So look down towards the floor. You might feel it differently if you look up. You could feel it looking different right versus left. And so I want you to play around with this because it can be a tricky one to feel. And so find a different angle. Maybe you pull more to this side. Maybe you pull more across. Let's do the other side, just because, you know what? Even though you have one side that might be stickier than the other, they both feed off of each other. And so both those shoulder blades, so they're attached to that same rib cage, that same thoracic spine. And so we definitely want to work both of them. So this is totally up to you of where you shift. You got to play around with it and find it. Find your best stretch. That is what we do with our best method. It's then the expectation of what everyone else is doing of the one perfect way. There's no one perfect way because you're going to feel it different than I feel it. We're all going to have different spots, different angles that we're tight at. And so you get to pull and shift, but I really want you to feel that in the back of your shoulder blade. You might feel it up into your neck a little bit. It shouldn't be painful. It shouldn't feel like numbness, shooting, tingling, pain down your arm. So if that's the case, you need to back off on it. If you're really struggling to find this stretch, you can always reach out and we can help support you through it. Okay, now let's come on to all fours. And we're going to do a very basic, like a child's pose stretch that maybe you've done in yoga before, but we're going to change it a little bit. I want you to glue those hands into the ground, a little bit out in front of you, and I want you to stretch back. We're not just going to sink back our hips into our heels, okay? But what we're going to do is peel back. Again, your hands are glued to the side, and we're going to inhale, and we're going to exhale, and we're going to think about pulling our bodies apart as much as we can. And then while we're here, we're going to give ourselves a little tail wag. And so we're going to shift our hips side to side. Again, changing different angles. We play around with the stretch because that's what the best method is. It's bendy, extendy, shifty, twisty. It's working all the planes of motion because that's what our bodies do. And that's how we become resilient. That's how we combat injuries. And so extend yourself grace to shift a little bit, to shift the plan, to let it look different. Okay, let's exhale, come back up into it. Now let's take our right hand and we're gonna bring it across and we're gonna glue that right hand down. This left hand, it's just there, it's chilling. It's not taking much weight. And then we're gonna angle it. So we're gonna go right hand across and then we're peeling back to our right hip. Again, pull apart, feel that armpit, feel that pulling. And again, we can tail wag, we can look down, shift the position. You could take that left arm and wind it up. But what I don't want is that you just dump into it, okay? Again, it is strong, it is engaged. We're not dumping into it. We're not just sitting and collapsing. We are being super strong, super active. So again, shift, play around with it, breathe, unwind, unlock. Okay, bring it back up and let's take it across again. Left hand to other side and shift. We're hitting different planes of motion. Again, that's best. We are unlocking that scapula, that shoulder blade. We're unlocking that thoracic spine. And all of those play a huge component in how your shoulder moves. And the other cool thing is we're not going at that end deep range, but we're really addressing more of that lower component. So you're not going into those super high ranges that might give you that pinch. All right, give yourself a little shift. And so you get the freedom to really control that. And that's the beauty of best, is that you're in control. You're in the driver's seat of your health, of how you move and how you feel. And that is the difference between you healing. All right, let's link that arm underneath. Again, get a little windy up, get that twisty, twisty. Again, just peel it away. And sink, stretch into it. We're not taking anything to end range. All right, bring it back up. We're just honoring what our shoulder needs. We're taking it in the positions and the ranges that we can do. Okay, let's just stretch back one more time. Inhale and exhale. One more tail wag. Shifty, shifty that butt. Maybe add a little twist. Add a little twist. All right, come back up. So there are lots of reasons why your shoulder might be getting sticky, might be getting frozen. But I want you to be encouraged that you don't have to stop moving your body. And in fact, stopping and just restricting yourself, that's going to cause more problems down the road. And so what we want to work on with best living, is finding those success points, meeting your body where it is, and allowing yourself to find successful ranges, successful positions, so that you can gradually work up to this. We don't want you to get a frozen shoulder. If you do, we're here, and we're here to support you along the way. But most importantly, I hope that you can stay healthy. I hope that you can navigate through the stickiness that might come because of hormonal changes, because of age changes, because maybe you did something and reached and tweaked your shoulder a little bit. So try this. Let me know what you think. And I hope that you feel a little bit more best in your shoulders today. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.